We are Black Force. We are San Diego.
Sundays are always very special days at Petco Park as the San Diego Padres honor the military community, and today absolutely no different as we get ready for the final game of this three-game series between the visiting Cincinnati Reds and the Padres. It's the rubber match. Reds won Game 1. Padres took it last night behind really a full team performance. Welcome back to Petco Park with Mark Sweeney. I'm Jesse Agler. It was a lot of fun last night. Looking for more of the same today, obviously. And where else to start than at the top of the batting order last night, because Travis Jankowski was at it again.
Well, you know what, Jesse? You need a tone setter at the top of the order, and that's exactly what Travis Jankowski has been for Andy Green's offense. It's so imperative to go out there and set the tone, and you usually do it with your speed. So Travis Jankowski has been doing that. He's slashing the ball to all fields. But last night in particular, you could see the speed really impacting the game. He scores 2 runs, the 2 stolen bases, but also the energy that he puts on that really has influenced this offense. Now, going to a rookie debut last night, it's an 8th inning that he pitches a perfect scoreless inning, but how he did it, going against Votto and Suarez, and then finally punching out Adam Duvall. This is a youngster in a debut that you absolutely fall in love with. I can't wait to see his next outing.
Jose Castillo has been absolutely incredible in the minor leagues the last couple of years, and he brought that show to Petco Park last night. Weather report brought to you by your always sunny San Diego Honda dealers. 72 degrees here at game time in San Diego. A rare mid-afternoon start on a Sunday rock and roll marathon downtown earlier on today. With Mark Sweeney and Bob Scanlon. I am Jesse Agler. Military Sunday. True recognition of the men and women who give so much to our great nation. Padres have won 4 out of their last 5 games. We talked about all the excitement last night. It's incredible. You just discussed Jose Castillo, and the buzz around the ballpark this morning when we got here was still about the young left-hander.
Yeah, a lot of guys talking about the debut, obviously a scoreless 8th, but the way he did it and the fashion that he did it, and it wasn't just velocity, it had a lot to do with his secondary stuff as well.
Eric Lauer got the start yesterday, picked up his 2nd major league win. He allowed a run on 5 hits in 5 innings. Andy Green was very, very pleased with what he got out of the now 23-year-old left-hander. It's his birthday today. Happy birthday, Eric. And the next step for him, obviously, is putting together a couple of those in a row.
I think that's what Andy Green would assume that's going to happen, because why not? Last night looked very comfortable, controlled the strike zone with his fastball, and more and sharper breaking balls yesterday.
Padres have done very nicely against the Cincinnati Reds over the years, and they'll try and win another series from Jim Riggleman's Redlegs here in this afternoon's ball game. Red lineup against Tyson Ross begins with Jesse Winker making his 2nd start here in the 3rd game of this series. Tucker Barnhart, the catcher, will bat 2nd, and on it goes against Tyson Ross.
Yeah, more influence with left-handed hitters in Jim Riggleman's lineup today against Tyson Ross. The splits favor the left-handed hitters. It's going to be interesting to see what Tyson Ross does to combat that.
Yeah, left-handed hitters hitting .287 against Ross this year. Right-handers only .154. Scouting report on Tyson Ross, who has, I think it's fair to say, been the best pitcher in the rotation most of this season.
2nd-round selection of the Oakland A's in 2008 as the draft comes upon us. The cutter brings consistency, and that's been really a good pitch to stay off the barrel of the bats. And 6+ with Rafi Lopez, the catcher today, the battery, because 9 of 11 starts have come with 6+ innings for Tyson Ross. He's a workhorse.
There is Rafi Lopez, and the rest of the Padre defense involves pretty much the same cast of characters we saw in last night's game. Manuel Margot is out there in center field. He's been a busy bee much of this season. Travis Jankowski was very busy in last night's game. He's back in left field. Franmil Reyes in right with Villanueva, Gallus, Perella, and Hosmer around the horn. Mentioned that Lopez and Ross, the starting battery here this afternoon against Cincinnati. So the Reds will look to get it going with Winker, Barnhart, and Votto. It's a potent lineup, certainly, but held in check for the most part in yesterday's game. Keys to the game here this afternoon, brought to you by your San Diego Honda dealer.
Well, with today's rock and roll marathon, you think about what's happening. Ross has a marathon start. You go back to April 20th at Arizona, 7 2/3 innings work, 1 hit, 10 strikeouts. Like to see that day and get Hand to the finish line. Brad Hand, the National League reliever of the month, 17 saves. He's second in the National League. That would be a great formula for the Padres today.
We have not seen Brad yet in this series. Padres were down late on Friday night. They won big yesterday, so no need for the closer. He did work on Thursday in the win over Miami, and we'll see if in fact he does find his way into the game this afternoon. Winker steps in, and all these left-handed hitters be an interesting challenge for Tyson Ross. He starts things off beautifully with a first pitch fastball, and we're underway. Winker, a .239 average in 50 games this year. He has hit 1 homer, getting on base at a very nice .350 clip. Padres shift against him, and back-to-back fastballs can't even up at 1-1.
Now that's the cutting fastball that's going to influence these left-handed hitters. You see the shift on the right side.
Ross back to work, and Winker lines it foul. Ball and 2 strikes. He pinch hit in the 6th inning last night and struck out. Started in left field on Friday, went 0 for 3 with a walk and a strikeout. He's a big-time prospect for them. He's 24 years old. He's supposed to be a big part of the future. And then, kind of surprisingly, earlier this week, Jim Riggleman said, you know what, he's not going to play as much as he has been. And then all of a sudden, he has started 2 of the 3 games in this series. He will ground out here to open things up. Eric Hosmer doesn't miss plays like that. Winker retired for the first out of the ball game.
Well, nice cutter by Tyson Ross, getting off the barrel and getting off the knuckles of Winker.
You mentioned Tyson Ross going deep into ball games. He has worked into the 6th inning in all but 1 of his 11 starts this year. The only one he didn't was at Colorado, so you can certainly excuse that. That sort of depth is appreciated by everybody on the 25-man roster. Switch hitting catcher Tucker Barnhart started the first game of this series, went 1 for 5 with a couple of runs batted in. 3 home runs on the year, and he takes just a little bit inside from Ross. Starting catcher yesterday for Cincinnati was Kurt Casale, and he was involved all over the place, sometimes good, sometimes bad. Committed the error in the bottom of the 1st inning that put Travis Jankowski on board. He would homer in his first at bat, got on base a couple of times. But now back to Barnhart. I think if you polled 100 random National League Baseball fans and you asked them who the Gold Glove catcher in the National League was last year, very few of them would correctly answer Tucker Barnhart, but he was.
Well, Jesse, he earned it because of what he did behind the plate, also pitch framing, being able to call a game. And this young staff relies on a catcher to be able to take that questioning out. Rafi Lopez does a nice job. That's the reason why he gets the detail today with Tyson Ross. They've had a nice chemistry brewing.
On 1 and 2, he takes the slider down in the dirt. Barnhart, the first Red catcher to win the Gold Glove Award since the last time Johnny Bench won it. He won it every year from 1968 to 1977.
Yeah, you could easily say Johnny Bench is the benchmark of a catcher, the prototypical catcher.
I don't think there's any doubt about that. Full count here on Barnhart. 10 in a row. Guys get on runs, though, with those Gold Gloves.
Yeah,
it's hard to unseat the king sometimes. Payoff pitch in the air, center field. Routine. And 2 away as Margot makes the play. Mentioned the 310 start is a little bit different. No shadows to speak of at this point, so that was straightforward for Margot in center field. But at some point this afternoon, it's going to look a little bit different out there.
It sure is. And later in the game, we saw it early in the game last night with the 5:40 start. That's going to be your typical problem that comes later in the innings.
Votto 1 for 4 with a single last night, and now a base hit to start things off here in the top of the 1st inning. He's thinking extra bases. Long way to go for Franmil Reyes. Just now getting there, and Votto's going to try for 3. Perella's relay to third, not in time. And Joey Votto with his first triple of the season with 2 outs here in the top of the 1st.
Now the Padre pitchers have done a nice job against Joey Votto this whole homestand in this series, but you see Joey Votto aggressive on that first pitch. Looked like a cutting fastball down in the strike zone, down and in. And as you said, Jesse, his first triple, not known for the speed, but he sure is known for the bat.
Played all 162 games last year and tripled once. So he's now reached safely in 13 consecutive games. Ho hum, more of the same for Joey Votto. 2-out base runner for Scooter Gennett. And a little bit low, ball one. Gennett going 1 for 4 in each of the first 2 games of this series. A home run on Friday night, a double last night. Second leading hitter in the National League. Matt Kemp came into today a bit ahead of him now. Mookie Betts, the highest batting average in all of baseball. The Red Sox slugger is at .359. Reds did not have a hit with runners in scoring position last night. They went 0 for 6 in the 8-2 Padre win. Out in front, and now a ball and 2 strikes on Gennett.
You know, watching Scooter Gennett, as you touched on with the numbers, has a lot to do with him being able to swing, and he swings a lot. Gets out of the strike zone. You get 2 strikes. You almost want to see if he can bounce the ball. The responsibility is Rafi Lopez behind the plate on that biting slider by Tyson Ross.
They want to work away on 1 and 2. And that looked like a pretty good pitch.
It looked like a cutter, the backdoor cutter. Perfect pitch, but does not get the call by home plate umpire Scott Berry.
Two balls and 2 strikes now. And Gennett stays alive. They go back to that same general vicinity. Hey, we've talked a lot about the cutter this year with Tyson Ross, and sometimes he's throwing a cutter, sometimes his fastball just cuts. Really seems to have been a huge part of his bounce back here in 2018.
Yeah, so much we talk about adding and subtracting as they go in with the fastball here. Well, that's the fastball that has the cutting action, but also he'll take a little bit off of his slider, and then he'll throw that biting one that has more depth. See if he does it here. 3-2.
Eugenio Suarez in the on deck circle should the inning continue. Ross retired the first 2. Votto tripled. Thought he had Gennett struck out, but now a payoff pitch. And another foul ball.
Down and away cutter here.
8th pitch of the at bat is grounded to shortstop. Freddie Galvis makes the play, and no harm, no foul after the 2-out triple by Joey Votto. Padres coming up. 19 is Saquon's brand new 300-room resort and hotel. By Petco, the pet company. By Cadillac, visit your San Diego Cadillac dealers today. And by USAA, official military appreciation partner of the San Diego Padres. Bottom of the first inning, no score with the Padres coming up against the Cincinnati Reds. Joey Votto tripled with 2 outs in the top of the inning, but Tyson Ross got his man. Scooter Gennett grounded out after a long battle. Padre lineup brought to you by your San Diego County Toyota dealers. We'll see Jankowski, Hosmer, and Perella here in the bottom of the first inning against former Padre Luis Castillo. You may or may not remember his tenure. It was rather brief. Hard-throwing right-hander, though not quite as hard-throwing as he was a year ago in his debut season in the major leagues. Jankowski has been wonderfully hot at the top of the order for the Padres, and that continued in last night's game. 2 for 5 with an RBI, a couple stolen bases, couple of runs scored, and as you see, he's hitting .314 since coming up at the end of April from AAA El Paso. A lot of balls to that general direction. Duvall coming in, and he's able to make a running catch. Travis nearly had another opposite field base hit. That's 1 away here in the bottom of the first.
Well, Travis Jankowski has been slashing the ball all over, usually on the line. Comes in on him here, and a nice play by Duvall. Nice running catch by the left fielder.
Eric Hosmer now 10 for his last 19, and all of those at bats coming here at Petco Park. Started off much hotter on the road than at home, and you can add another hit. How about this guy, Eric Hosmer? Wasting no time, goes after the first pitch he sees from Castillo, and the Padres have their first base runner of the afternoon.
Let's take a look at the scouting report of the 25-year-old right-hander out of the Dominican Republic, Luis Castillo. Is he a star in the making? Well, a lot of the Reds personnel love this young man. The velocity on his fastball is down, but they like the movement, and also his 2017 numbers led all new NL rookies in ERA and batting average against. The changeup's his best offering, so look for that.
15 starts a year ago, 3-7 with a 3.12 ERA. Padres saw him in August at Great American Ballpark in Cincinnati. Didn't factor in the decision, but he did have a nice game against the Padres.
He has a certain calmness about him that they absolutely love. But when you have a changeup to go along with 97 miles an hour with movement, it's tough to cover.
Jose Perella's been hitting a lot of ground balls. That one is foul over towards the Red dugout. Still without a home run here in 2018. Swinging a pretty good bat. Has a hit in each of the first 2 games of this series. Sacrifice fly and a run scored in last night's ball game. Padres took 3 out of 4 from Miami to open up this homestand. Now trying to take 2 out of 3 from Cincinnati. The Atlanta Braves are here beginning tomorrow night for a 3-game set.
Well, with Luis Castillo, you can see he has the ability, slender frame, but it's a low 3/4 delivery, very clean delivery. But when you drop down, you get a lot of movement. See that release point, a lot of movement on that arm side. You're going to see that, and also the fade on the changeup. He maintains his arm speed on the changeup. That's what makes it good.
Struck out 6 in his last start Tuesday at Arizona. He was tagged with the loss in a 5-inning performance. 98 miles per hour, but into Perella. 1-2.
Well, that's why when you hear people say, well, the velocity's down a little bit, he's been pitching right around 93, 94, 98 in the tank. So varying speeds. You're seeing that by this staff of the Cincinnati Reds.
Got him there. And that was not the fastball. A very effective off-speed pitch, his first strikeout of the afternoon. Reds defense brought to you by Cadillac. A couple of first basemen, potential all-stars chatting it up at first base. Joey Votto and Eric Hosmer. Jeanette, Peraza, and Suarez round out the infield. Outfield is Adam Duvall, Billy Hamilton, and Jesse Winker. Tucker Barnhart and Castillo, the battery. Christian Villanueva. 2 outs And a runner on first base. He has cleaned up all 3 games of this series, and he swings through 97, 0-1. He's had a nice handful of first pitch homers. He was probably thinking about that right there. And now 0-2.
Well, Jesse, seen early in this game, a lot of the Padres early swings, not waiting around for Luis Castillo because of velocity and movement. That's the reason why early swings are imperative for the Padres, but they have to get him on the plate.
There was the changeup, and Villanueva again fouls one off of himself. Did this the other night against Miami.
Well, the changeup, and this is the first one right down on that ankle area, missing the shin pad. Might have to extend that a little bit. That is not a good feel. See it right here.
You see some guys, they've got the pad that sort of has a little flap that extends over the top of the foot. This one is really just on the ankle and the shin.
Well, Jesse, people might say, well, why is Christian Villanueva that happening a lot? Because he likes to get out and get that fastball middle away. That's his comfort zone. You know, that ball's elevated and it's running in on his hands. It's easy to hit on top of the baseball. You get outside the baseball, it's going to ricochet off that leg. Does not feel good.
Wow, he's going to come out of this game. Corey Spangenberg suiting up. And Villanueva being helped back into the Padre clubhouse. So presumably Spangenberg will stay in the game to play third base. He'll quickly get himself ready to hit here and have fun. It's 0-2.
Yeah. Well, if he gets a hit, Corey Spangenberg is going to be credited. If he strikes out, it's probably going to go to Villanueva. But he has plenty of time. This is not an easy time because I think Corey Spangenberg didn't have the mentality he was going to be hitting in first.
Yeah, pinch hitters, guys on the bench to sort of game rarely do, but I guess you got to be ready for anything.
You know, when you're on the on-deck circle, though, and you have plenty of time, it almost feels like you're rushed because everyone else is waiting for you.
Sure.
So there is that anticipation of guys getting ready, but
well, it's like the pitcher who comes on after the previous guy leaves with an injury. They say, oh, you got as much time as you need.
oh, it's uncomfortable.
It's got to be. Literally everybody in the ballpark is just waiting for you to be ready. Yeah.
Let's go.
Human nature and all. So 0-2 on Spangenberg. Hitting for Villanueva, who departs with the injury. Hosmer at first base. He singled with 1 out. Corey doubled off of Castillo last August in Cincinnati. The only other extra base hit Andy Green's guys got against him in that game was a home run by Will Myers.
Looks like Hosmer and Votto are having a dinner date over there, huh?
They got a lot to talk about.
Just amazing, though. There's so many conversations with guys that do talk. You know, Todd Helton, remember Todd Helton? He was so intense, he didn't want to ask him anything. He didn't want to say anything. A lot of conversations go on over there, especially those personalized first basemen.
Hosmer picked off here, and he's just going to try and beat it out. He will not. So Spangenberg's going to get a fresh start in the second inning. A long bottom of the first as the Padres lose Christian Villanueva.
There's been a comfort factor there. He's caught Clayton really well lately. He's done a really nice job filling in for, in my opinion, the best defensive catcher in the game, and he's kept pace back there and done a really nice job catching, and what he does offensively is a bonus.
That's Andy Green talking about his catcher today, Rafi Lopez. And it's interesting, Andy said that he is actually starting to make decisions about when Lopez pitches based on who's pitching that day. He wants Lopez to catch Tyson Ross. He wants him to catch Clayton Richard. A 3.25 earned run average while working with Ross in the 6 starts that they've worked together so far, guys. So Rafi Lopez originally came over here expected to be more of an offensive catcher, but that's actually his defense that has impressed Andy Green the most. Guys, back up to you.
Thanks, Bob. And yeah, that's really interesting, guys, because a couple of weeks ago it was, all right, he's going to start against right-handed pitchers because he bats left-handed. And as Bob was just telling us, Andy Green has sort of adjusted the way he's thinking about this catcher situation.
Well, I think people have got to understand that how taxing this position is.
That one is driven deep to left field, and Eugenio Suarez has hit a home run to give the Reds a 1-0 lead here in the second. 11th of the year for Suarez, now tied for the team lead. Jeanette hit his 11th here on Friday night. And right before the game started, we discussed Suarez as a potential all-star in the National League at third base. He adds to the resume here against Tyson Ross.
Well, 8 home runs in the month of May, and obviously pounding the baseball. He takes this 2-0 slider, which is pretty impressive. Sits back and takes this to left field. Compact swing.
He's their leading RBI guy, near the top of the list in the National League in that department. Adding to that total as well, Adam Duvall now.
Well, Jesse, getting back to Rafi Lopez, but it's a taxing position, especially when you come up from AAA and your first priority is handling the pitching staff. So mentality-wise, taking away from your offense, because I think he's going to hit. It's going to be a matter of time, but getting that consistent at bats, a couple good games behind it, under his belt offensively will go a long way. But to Bob's point, he's done a tremendous job behind the plate.
And I think with a young pitching staff, even though we're obviously talking about, you know, Ross and Richard as well, they're putting such an emphasis on that and handling these guys and assisting in their development. You know, you're asking these young pitchers to come up to the big leagues and learn how to work here. And having an A.J. Ellis, who's a great steady veteran presence, or a Rafi Lopez, or obviously Austin Hedges when healthy, that's only going to help the development of those guys. And that seems to be the absolute primary thing this year.
Yeah, it's the progression of younger starters, but also handling the veteran guys with class and ability to have them extend themselves a little bit, get those innings that you need to eat up. And the chemistry between Rafi Lopez and the pitching staff is imperative. It's one of those stats that you don't necessarily see all the time. Yes, you see batting average, wins and losses. It has everything to do with the chemistry and what to put down so they're not shaking off.
Duvall just gets a piece, making his second consecutive start in left field. 0 for 4 with 3 strikeouts in last night's game. And being stubborn here against Tyson Ross at the top of the second. Last inning, Scooter Gennett had an 8-pitch battle with Tyson. This is now pitch number 8 of this at-bat, and he popped it up. Galvis looking right into the sun. He's got the shades on, and that's one away here in the second inning. Not a lot of clouds, as per usual on a beautiful San Diego day. We'll track those pop-ups and fly balls all afternoon. Here's the speedy Jose Peraza. 1 out and the base is empty, and he takes strike 1. Peraza has hit in 6 consecutive for Cincinnati. Had a big RBI double in the 4th inning on Friday night. 1 for 4 with a double in the loss last night. and is 11 for his last 25. Sometimes you see a 6-game hitting streak where guys going 1 for 4, 1 for 5 every night. That's not the case right now with Jose Peraza.
He looks very comfortable in the batter's box. Not on that slider.
He went, and that's strikeout number 1 for Tyson Ross. It was almost as if Peraza and Lopez and the plate umpire Scott Berry had a 3-man conference to talk about it, but eventually they decided he went, and clearly did.
Well, he sure did. And for Tyson Ross, almost that sometimes when he's throwing that slider, has a good feel for it, that he can almost tell the hitters it's coming, and they can't square it up.
So 2 outs, the base is empty for the pitcher out of the number 8 spot. 3rd consecutive game we've seen that. Reds have done it not exclusively this year, but certainly more often than not. Castillo, 120 hitter in his career, 4 for 21 on the season. Eric Lauer drove in a run last night for the first time in his big league career. And quickly, 0-2. Castillo takes a close one and then one in the dirt to even the count. Talk about the slider. It can be one of those pitches, and when we see this, where it might take an inning or 2 or 3 to get the exact feel that you're looking for, and then all of a sudden it just clicks into place.
Yeah, varying speeds, varying shapes to that slider.
There you go. Fastball right past him, and back-to-back strikeouts for Tyson Ross to finish off the top of the 2nd. Cincinnati Reds a 1-0 lead as we go to the bottom of the 2nd inning. Eugenio Suarez with a home run in the 2nd inning. And time now for Tools of the Trade, brought to you by Ram Trucks.
Well, on a beautiful afternoon, you typically use sunglasses, maybe the old school approach for flip downs. Watch Joey Votto here. Looks into the sun and puts them down and flips them up. But if closer look, doesn't have them on at all. Just showing you what the real way to do with the old school flip downs.
I like that. He took mime lessons in Paris one summer. He's nice. Obviously a very talented ball player. One of the best players and hitters in baseball without a doubt right now. He's got a very dry sense of humor, kind of an interesting personality, but a real student of the game, and obviously has a little bit of clown in him as well, in a good way. Corey Spangenberg was at the plate in a little bit of a complicated situation back in the first inning. Christian Villanueva fouled a ball off of his ankle, came out with an 0-2 count, and before Spangenberg ever saw a pitch, Eric Hosmer was picked off. Now 1-1 to Spangenberg. Votto, among everything else, too, a real student of the game. And I think you can tell that just by watching the way he approaches at bats and choking up with 2 strikes and fouling off a million pitches. And Tony Gwynn Jr., is obviously part of our broadcast team here, tells the story of reaching base when he was playing against the Reds, and he and Votto got to talking at first base. And while Tony was taking his lead off of first, Votto asked him, "Hey, can I have your dad's email address?" This is obviously when Tony was still with us, and Junior was like, "Okay," So he sent it over with the visiting clubhouse guy and gave his dad a heads up. Hey, I think Joey Votto might reach out to you, and sure enough, they exchanged emails and swimmingly talking about some of the finer points of hitting.
Well, he's a smart man. I mean, why not try to get in touch with Mr. Padre, Tony Gwynn? I'd like to talk to Tony Gwynn Jr. about hitting. I love that because the knowledge that he has. But Joey Votto, this game is funny because you are afforded to be a little kid, but also you put a lot of time and effort into your craft.
Another pop-up and another chance to flip down invisible sunglasses, but it'll be straightforward for Peraza, the shortstop. He makes the catch.
So why I say that is it's a good blend. You have to go out there and have fun with the game because it is a game. But for Joey Votto, he puts a lot of pride in being a better baseball player. He likes to think. He likes to be able to have communication with successful hitters that are consistent. So consistency is a big part of the game, but he does have that edge to him of having that quirkiness where it's a lot of fun.
Seeing a little bit of that here early on with this guy, Franmil Reyes. He's talked about, breaking down video and the different approaches, but also he's got the big high five with Eric Hosmer, and he's got that sort of larger than life personality. And look, 15 games into his big league career, I don't know that you can draw too many conclusions, but you get a little sense of that. It's handled easily by Castillo. 2 quick outs here in the second when we had the '98 reunion weekend a couple of weeks ago. A lot of talk amongst you guys about that clubhouse and finding that balance between fun but also taking care of business.
Yeah, Jesse, because if you create that, and we were afforded to create it in spring training, and then coupled with wins and wins early, walk-off wins, all of that creates an atmosphere that you just start having fun with. Because in 1998, it's easy to talk about all the awards guys had and how great the seasons were. We had a lot of fun, and that's during the weekend where we were celebrated. That's what we all talked about when we got together. A lot of laughs, a lot of joking around. But when you have that chemistry, you go out there on the field and you perform. You put yourself in a position where you're having a lot of fun doing it. But that concentration level when you're playing the game, it's your livelihood, it's your job. So to be able to separate that and have a good balance is imperative. And I think that's a challenging aspect to the game these days.
Not something that every good team has. And obviously it's a chicken or the egg thing a little bit. Are you having fun because you're winning? Are you winning because you're having fun? It takes everything. It takes talent first and foremost. But those are the truly special teams. Well struck by Freddie Galvis, but what do you know? Caught by Duvall, and all weekend Freddie Galvis making great contact, coming up empty.
as we head to the top of the third inning, and we are honored to be joined by a military hero and the first ever director of military affairs for the San Diego Padres, Captain Jack Inch. Captain, it's such a pleasure to see you. How are you today?
Good, Ken. Great. I'm doing fine.
Awesome. You know, I understand that before your 30-year naval career in fighter jets, I mean, you had the 3,000 hours in the air, you had 285 combat missions, 800 aircraft landings, but before all that, you were actually in the Army. Is that true?
Yeah, that's true. When I graduated from high school, I was, let's say, rudderless, and I wasn't ready for college, and I joined the Army for 3 years and did a lot of growing up, and then I went to college and got interested in naval aviation, and then joined the Navy, and the rest is history, as they say.
Joined the Navy and Naval Cross and every other award that you could possibly get. And you know what's so amazing too is I go over to the USS Midway. It's an amazing museum, and you were just honored with the Midway American Patriot Award last year. There's a jet over there with your name on it, and it honors a fight where you actually shot down 2 MiGs. What is it like going into a dogfight combat with 6 MiG fighters?
Well, it's let's say it's adrenaline, gets your adrenaline going, but yeah, it was an exciting event. But you know, we were trained for it. I'm a product of naval aviation training, and you know, we had the opportunity, and thankfully we were able to meet the challenge.
Okay, these guys aren't cooperating. There's 2 quick outs already. Let's talk about your transition into the first ever director of military affairs for the Padres. Nobody's ever done it, and you spearheaded the entire campaign that we see now.
Yeah, well, when I was just getting ready to retire from the Navy, I was the last commander of Naval Training Center San Diego here before it closed, and John and Moores and Larry just bought the team the summer or the winter before that. Came out here and they looked around and saw the big military population, and amazingly, I guess the past ownerships had never done anything to really reach out and cultivate. And so Larry Lucchino, you know what a marketing genius he is, he said, hey, go find somebody who knows the military and known by the military here, and we want to start some kind of a military thing. And so they approached me, and I said, well, yeah, I got another year to go on. I said, I can't work for you while I'm in the Navy, you know, that would be against ethics. So when I retired, I called him and started using the baseball lingo. I said, well, I'm a free agent now, we can talk. So one thing led to another, and I was here for 15 years.
One thing led to another, and you brought in all kinds of new things. You brought in the digital uniforms, salute to the military. What does it feel like to see all these things still existing, and not only here, but throughout all pro sports now?
Well, it gives me a great deal of pleasure to see the embrace of the military, especially in San Diego. But as you said, it was kind of spread around other teams copying what we were doing. You know, what is that? The highest form of flattery is imitation or something like that. So that was good. But it's really it's fun to come back now in my emeritus status, if you will, and see what the current ownership has done to pick up and revive the military programs. They kind of went fallow in a period there between 2 ownerships, but they're back on track now, and JJ is doing such a great job, and Tom and Peter and Ron and all of them really embrace the military and get behind it. And it's a thing to do, and especially from a veteran from my era of Vietnam, when the average veteran came back, they were just vilified and everything. It's a stain in our country's history, I think, and I think that this makes up for it some way.
You served as a prisoner of war for a year over in the Hanoi Hilton. What does it mean for you to now see the POW MIA Chair of Honor here in the stadium? Oh,
I think it's wonderful. I mean, it's we POWs, we were kind of like putting on the DL. You know, we were taken out of the action, but we finally got off the DL and came back to. But it's a real honor, I think, and especially the most important part of that MIA or POW MIA is the MIA stuff. Those are the guys that didn't come back. We all got to come back. We continue our lives and got to see. I got to see my 3 daughters grow up and get married and go to college and everything. So, I've been blessed. And so whenever we say POW MIA, I always like to emphasize the MIA.
You've been blessed, and we've been blessed to have you, Captain Jack. Thanks so much for your time and for your service.
May I say one more thing?
Absolutely.
Okay. I'm going to give a shout out to Ted Leitner. Hey, Uncle Teddy, we miss you. Get better and come on back.
Captain Jack, guys, he's an American hero, and he is the godfather of the military respect that we see throughout professional sports right now. Guys, back over to you.
Bob, thank you so much. And Captain Jack is a legend around these parts, and certainly echo what he had to say about Uncle Teddy as well.
Yeah, I agree with you too, Jesse. And for Captain Jack, thank you for allowing us to incorporate ourselves, infuse into the military around here, because he is that conduit to get the players to be able to do that. Makes it special to be in a Padre uniform because of that. And also JJ, who does a tremendous job now. But Captain Jack was the guy that came in the locker room, and you knew it was important conversations. You knew he wanted to be here, but we were afforded to have that ability as players to be able to incorporate into our military, and thank them.
JJ Quinn, retired admiral, now manning that post, if you will, for the Padres. And as Captain Jack alluded to, he does a wonderful job. 2 on and 2 out for Jeanette. And this should end the inning. Freddie Galvis, smooth as ever. Couple of 2-out base runners and a 1-0 Cincinnati lead in the middle of the 3rd.
For each post, T-Mobile will donate $1 to support veterans.
1-0 Reds, bottom of the 3rd inning, and the bottom 3rd of the Padre batting order coming up against Luis Castillo. Padres have had 1 hit in this game. Eric Hosmer, a single back in the 1st inning, but he was caught stealing by the pitcher, Castillo, and so he has faced the minimum through 2. Reds run coming on a lead homer by Suarez in the 2nd inning. 12 pitches in each of the first 2 for Castillo. Hasn't had to work too hard. See if Manuel Margot can change that. He has seen a steady ascent in the batting average department over the last couple of weeks. And he's ahead, 1 ball and no strikes.
Well, the big hit in his first at bat last night, 2-strike hitting, a double with the bases loaded.
Kind of got the ball rolling.
Does a lot for your confidence.
It was good for him. It was good for the team. And the next thing you know, it felt like the Padres were firmly in command of that game last night.
Yeah, I think Manny Margot, in that ascension that you're talking about, Jesse, is doing the right things, getting back to where he was last year.
Ball and a strike on him here leading off, and 2-1 in the last 12 games. He has brought his batting average up to 214 from 192. That's a long hill to climb. We get that. But obviously in a good spot right now. Has the speed to make something like that troublesome, but it kicks foul.
One of the lessons that you learn as a younger player, and I learned it very quickly, always talk to veteran guys that got off to slow starts. What do? They said, listen, man, I know where my numbers are going to be. That's what Manny Margot is trying to create because of being in his 2nd year. But the trust factor with a veteran guy, they know where they're going to be. And if they have a spectacular part where they're typically not doing it, they know it's going to be a great year.
I guess the reality is no major league hitter is going to have 6 great months. And it's one thing when this slump comes in June or July or August as opposed to April or May, particularly for a young guy.
Yeah, I think, Jesse, if you look at the schedule and it's 6 months, 3 months on is a really good hitting is a good year.
Chases the high fastball there. Second strikeout of the afternoon for Castillo, 1 away. Time now for our Valley View Casino trivia question. Tweet us your answers by the end of the inning using hashtag Valley View Trivia. How many players on the Padres' current 25-man roster were first-round draft picks? Very timely. Draft begins tomorrow night. Both of these teams picking in the top 10. Rafi Lopez takes a fastball outside, 1-0. So there's some obvious ones. There's some tricky ones, I'm sure. That's a good one. I like it. I know you don't like to guess until we give the answer, so you can marinate, you can simmer, go into deep thought. And we're not talking drafted by the Padres necessarily. Here's a hint. Lopez into center. Hamilton on the run, He'll make the two-handed catch just before he gets to the fence. Rafi gave it a ride. But that's out number 2 here in the bottom of the third, and this time no violent collision between Billy Hamilton and that center field fence.
Well, as we said, Rafi Lopez is going to heat up, and this is a nice swing. Obviously, you would like to see better results as a hit. But this is where it starts, consistent at bats, and that's a nice swing, driving Hamilton to the center field wall.
Lopez making a second start of the series as Tyson Ross bats and grounds one slowly to Scooter Gennett. That's a 1-2-3 bottom of the third inning for Luis Castillo. 1-0 Reds as we go to the fourth. Fox Sports San Diego presents Padres Baseball, brought to you by USAA, proudly serving the needs of the military community for over 90 years. By Petco, the pet company. And by Jack in the Box. This season, Padres home runs score free Jumbo Jacks only at Jack in the Box. 1-0 Reds, top of the fourth inning. Rubber game in this 3-game series between these two teams. They will not see each other again until September. Take a look at the Arco top-tier play, the only run of this game, courtesy of Eugenio Suarez.
2-0 slider by Suarez, and he deposits to left field. And he's done nothing wrong this year with the bat. He continues to add to his resume for a potential all-star berth.
His team leading 44th run batted in of the season. He missed 16 games in the month of April. and still up near the top of the leaderboard in RBIs. Ross gets the call. Now 1-1 on Suarez. Yeah, the All-Star game, it's an interesting conversation, and we talked about this at the start of the game today. You've got guys who are deserving, and you've got other guys who may not be, and depending on the name and where you play and what you've done maybe the last couple of years, it's not exactly a merit-based system top to bottom. And I think fans, we understand that. We go into it with our eyes open. We realize that, hey, our guy might be having a better year than that guy, but he might have the bigger name. And Hosmer's a big name. He's been there year after year in the American League, but it might be a little bit different now in the National League. And as a player, can that get in your head? Do you get frustrated by that, or do these guys just kind of know the deal?
Oh, I think most of the guys that have confidence, the inner confidence, they go out there and just play. It's difficult when you get around that time because everyone's asking the question, do you believe you're an all-star? I think a lot of these guys like talking about everyone else rather than themselves, and they like to go out there and just perform. I think that's a difficult question to ask, but also something that's probably in the back of your mind. Listen, there's incentives in their contracts, which is exciting, but when it comes down to it, being in that Summer Classic is extra special. Going to be in Washington this year. But I think the third base position is going to be an interesting one going forward. I think Nolan Arenado's a no-brainer.
Sure.
Chris Bryant's in the conversation.
This time Ross wins the battle against Suarez. Home run in his first at bat, punched out here. Third strikeout for Tyson Ross. Reds now 3 guys with more than 10 home runs. You can only say that about a small handful of teams. Rockies are always going to be there, and then Cleveland and the Yankees. 2 of those 10 homer guys have homered in this series for Cincinnati. Jeanette and Suarez. Duvall another one. It's funny because the All-Star game, it's for the fans, right? It's an exhibition, especially now that got rid of that nonsense about home field advantage in the World Series. But it is serious business to some of these guys. I mean, there are contract, bonuses that can exist for certain guys. Rafi Lopez makes the play. Nicely done. 2 away here in the 4th inning. So it's kind of an interesting deal altogether. Jose Peraza takes on Padres today by AARP. 39 at bats against San Diego in his career, and Peraza has enjoyed his time hitting against the Friar. 359 average, a couple of homers. OPS approaching 1,000. Can't ask for much more than that.
Now, who would you like to be at third base? I know Christian Villanueva's name is going to be talked about. 15 home runs. You're going to be in that conversation.
Well, there's no doubt, and there's still a month and a half until the game, and I don't want to play, cranky old man, but they vote for so long now. I mean, the fact that we're voting now this weekend, the first week in June, over a month to go. 2-out base hit for Peraza does, I think, change things a little bit, because a guy who might look like an all-star on June 1st or 2nd could look nothing like an all-star come July 1st or 2nd. It's a long period of time, but I understand you're trying to build interest in the game and get people voting. But yeah, I mean, if Christian Villanueva is sitting around 20 home runs at the All-Star break, he needs to be there, as far as I'm concerned, because there won't be a lot of guys up around that total. I mean, as it stands, coming into this weekend, only Bryce Harper has more home runs in the National League than Christian Villanueva. And by the way, I'm all for fans figuring out starters. It's after that, try and make sure the deserving guys are taken care of. No worries with the 2-out single. Castillo grounds out. Still 1-0 Reds in the 4th. Kia Drive to Success. And Luis Castillo here this afternoon just kind of cruising right along. He threw 12 pitches in the first, 12 more in the second, only 10 in the third, and he's got the highest strikeout per 9 innings of all but one Red ever in his first 27 starts. Almost 9.5 strikeouts per 9, only 2 so far this afternoon, but not a lot of hard contact against him, and he's getting the job done so far today.
Yeah, I think about Luis Castillo. I think a lot of people were talking about how his velocity was down. Well, today it's an uptick, up to 98 miles an hour on that fastball. Very impressive stuff, but the calmness in his demeanor on the mound is what's really stuck out to me.
Jankowski, Hosmer, Perella against him. They get a second look. Travis looked as though he may have floated one into left field for a base hit to lead off in the bottom of the first inning, but Duvall made a nice running catch coming in towards the infield. 3 hits in the series as he has led off all 3 games. 1 start in center and now a couple in left field. Trying to bunt his way aboard. It'll be the pitcher, Castillo, making the play.
Oh, what a play by Joey Votto. And I tell you what, as a first baseman, and you know with the speed of Jankowski, you have to quicken up for the pitcher. Luis Castillo easily gets to this ball, but then he quickens up because of the speed and throws a dart down near the dirt. This is not easy. You're not stretching to it. You're almost in a defensive mode. And that short hop helped, but nice play by Votto.
That was a great look at it. So Castillo gets a little bit of an assist from his first baseman. Now Hosmer, who's got the only hit of the day so far for the Padres. Slider runs in, 1-0. He's hot. Just in time, you know, to start an all-star campaign.
Yeah, I like it, because even as we touched on the third base side, the first base side is on a downward trend as well. So if he can get hot at the right time, he's definitely in that conversation.
He's hit now in 6 of his last 7, reached safely in 20 of his last 22 games. Castillo fires the fastball back up to 97 for a strike.
Yeah, when you have a velocity like that, you could see that location was down, but it was right over the middle of the plate. Good velocity does. These guys are throwers at times.
First time all afternoon, Luis Castillo has gotten to a 3-ball count. No great surprise, it's Eric Hosmer at the plate. On 3-1, he cracks it the other way. Duvall headed towards the line, but that'll be a foul ball. Cracked it and the bat. Talked earlier about Castillo being a Padre for a hot minute, as the kids say. Back in the summer of 2016. Traded to San Diego and then traded right back to Miami 3 days later. That was the whole Colin Ray, Andrew Kashner situation. Eric Hosmer 2 for 2 as he puts that one past Peraza into left field. Another opposite field hit for Eric Hosmer. More than anybody else in baseball this year, a 1-out single in the bottom of the 4th inning. He has each of the 2 Padre hits this afternoon.
You know, when you show the ability, you can go the other way, especially late in a count. That's such a benefit for those average hitters. On base percentage, getting into good hitters counts. Just nice professionalism by Eric Hosmer.
Now those 2 can resume their conversation from the 1st inning.
Dinner date. Wonder who's picking up the check. That's interesting.
Yeah, I believe they each have the largest contract in their respective franchises' history, so I wouldn't worry about it. Votto, shades, no, 2 hands. He's not messing around with his San Diego son. Perella fouls out number 2. And we left up to Corey Spangenberg. Marines and drill instructors from Hotel Company, 2nd Battalion MCRD here in San Diego. If you have ever wondered, by the way, why they sit all the way up there in the right field corner, upper deck, foul territory. So we talked earlier about retired Admiral J.J. Quinn, who runs all the military affairs for the Padres now. And he gets that question all the time. Why you guys put them up there? They're these Marine recruits. You should be taking care of them. And he says, we offer them wonderful tickets. And the drill instructors want absolutely no part of it. These are recruits.
Yes, they are.
And the drill instructors say, no, no, we're just fine in the right field corner in the upper deck. They've got peanuts and Cracker Jacks up here. I would love to hear that conversation. Hey, we can put you down, right behind the first base dugout.
No, thank you.
No, we're good. Check on Spangenberg's swing, but he held up.
So you're saying it's a quick response?
It's a very quick response. I don't think there's a long conversation there. You guys will be just fine. Got a whole section just for you.
I can barely feel the sun. I promise.
I think that's an important piece of information to be out there. It's not that the Padres are sticking them up there.
But there's an ocean breeze.
I'll tell you what, though, there's not a bad seat in this house.
No, this is an absolutely beautiful ballpark.
Spangenberg came on as a pinch hitter in the first inning when Villanueva left with an injury, and he continues to battle Luis Castillo here in the fourth.
Corey Spangenberg continues to work the barrel underneath the baseball. Really struggled with velocity in his recent stretch, and you can see the opposition really pounding him in with fastballs.
Two balls and two strikes now. That fastball at 95, kind of running away from him. Castillo originally signed with the Giants as a teenager back in 2011. They traded him to Miami for Casey McGee in the 2014 winter. And as mentioned, traded to the Padres, back to the Marlins, and then they flipped him to the Reds for Dan Straley, who we just saw. Changeup rolled to first base, but foul. Still 2-2. And so we mentioned it back in the first inning. 0-1 was the count to Christian Villanueva, and then ouch. He did it on Friday night, the first game of this series, does it again here, and he was unable to stay in the game. So Spangenberg replaced him in the batter's box and at third base. Two balls and two strikes to Spangenberg. Castillo gets him, pulls the string with the changeup, and a strikeout to end the fourth. Still 1-0 Reds. So far this afternoon, 1-0 Reds as we open the fifth. It's a whole new ball game with RBI Baseball 18. RBI Baseball 18 delivers an all-new franchise mode and much more. RBI Baseball 18 is available now. Learn more at rbigame.com. Rated E for everyone. 9-1-2 for the Reds against Tyson Ross here in the top of the fifth. That means Billy Hamilton will lead it off. Tyson, a slider, just a little bit low. 1-0. Winker and Barnhart to follow. Hamilton swung out the first pitch he saw from Ross back in the third inning and popped to short. Tyson about to throw his 70th pitch of the afternoon. He threw 39 in the first 2 innings and then 28 in the next 2. Settling in a little bit. Still looking for his first 1-2-3 inning of the game. That slider didn't slide, and now 3 balls and no strikes to Billy Hamilton. Hamilton has reached base twice in this series, once with a hit, once with a walk. And he draws a 4-pitch free pass here to open up the fifth. Second walk of the afternoon issued by the big right-hander.
Well, not the guy that you want to put on first base, especially with no outs. Now that stolen base comes into play. Billy Hamilton with 10 stolen bases on the year.
Walked, stole a base, scored a run in the first game of the series. Put the oven mitt on. Protect those digits. Jesse Winker now as they check on Hamilton. Probably see a couple of those. By the way, just to give you a sense of Travis Jankowski and how good he's been since coming off the DL. And you see Hamilton every year is near the top of the league. Hamilton and Jankowski have both stolen 10 bases this year. Hamilton's played in 57 games. Look out. Travis has only played in 31.
Yeah. Stolen base is really a dying breed, in my opinion. And you start seeing Billy Hamilton, you almost assume he's going to not only try to steal second, but steal third. But it's been an offensive challenge this year. Comes in today hitting only .206. So as they always say, you can't steal first.
Winker is grounded out twice as Ross checks on him again. Padres got another pickoff last night. Eric Lauer's 5th. And the team's 11th.
Yeah, catching Joey Votto napping on a 3-0 count. Took the air out of the balloon for the Reds.
The 11 for the Padres, now most in all of baseball. Winker hitless in the series. Still waiting on the first pitch of this at bat. There goes Hamilton. Lopez throw down to second base. Pretty good, and they got him. What a throw. Billy Hamilton, tip of the cap. And he'll sprint back to the dugout now.
You know, there's 2 things to this throw. And first of all, give credit to Tyson Ross holding the runners. The slide step. But Rafi throws it on the second base side, allowing Spangenberg to apply the tag on the backside. What a great throw. And a nice work by Tyson Ross holding the runner.
Spangenberg over there in the shift. He's at third base. So that adds an element of complexity to the thing as well. And lock the bag a little bit. What a throw from Rafi Lopez.
Good so many catchers too that'll try to quicken up a little bit, and they'll pull that throw to the shortstop side.
Hamilton's been caught 3 times now. Ball and 2 strikes on Winker. He has finished second in the National League in stolen bases each of the last 4 years. That's got to be frustrating. Like you said, he doesn't get on base much. Everybody in the ballpark knows you're running, and when they throw you out, it's deflating for Billy Hamilton. On the other side, got to puff up both Rafi Lopez and Tyson Ross. 2-2 to Winker. He beats the shift, goes the other way for a base hit. Pulled one into the shift in his last at bat. This time he goes to the opposite field. So 1-out single, and now Tucker Barnhart coming up on a lovely military Sunday here at Petco. Padres have had great success in Tyson Ross's starts this year. They are 8-3 when he is the starting pitcher. 18-31 when it's anybody else. And the Padres 4-0 when Tyson Ross has started a game here at Petco Park this year. This is a 1-0 game in the top of the 5th inning. Luis Castillo has been outstanding opposite Tyson here today. Ball and a strike on Barnhart, and he's out in front, down to a knee, swinging and missing at the slider. 1-2.
Now, so many things about Rafi Lopez that you absolutely love. Watch how he frames and presents this pitch to the home plate umpire, Scott Berry. Maintains his upper body, but also catches that ball on the outside part of the plate. Very good pitch, but it was a backing up. Nice work by Rafi Lopez.
1-2 pitch hit in the air, center field. Manuel Margot makes the play. 2 outs as Winker goes back to first base. Barnhart now 0 for 2. Twice he has flied out to Manny. And now all standing between Tyson Ross and a clean getaway here in the 5th is Joey Votto.
Now Joey Votto has that look. The first at bat he hit the triple early in the count. His next one slashed one to left. He hits to all fields but has a different purpose in his eyes today.
Tripled in the first, singled in the third, as Sween said, and Ross doesn't get the call. 1-0 to Votto. You know, there has never been a cycle at Petco Park. Obviously Padres haven't had one, we all know that, but no visiting player has ever hit for the cycle here. One to Votto. That's the good slider. Count evens up 1-1. Left-handed hitter, but look how the outfield plays him. You got Reyes, the right fielder, all the way over in the gap. If he pulls something down the line, as he did in the first inning, he's going to be running for a while.
Yeah, it makes it difficult, and you have to shift. It's not necessarily the infield, but it's also the outfield. Shifting to where typically he likes to drive the baseball in the air.
Rolls that one foul. I think the most extreme outfield shift the Padres do is on DJ LeMahieu of the Rockies, and it's kind of the opposite of this one. He's a right-handed hitter, and they swing everybody around towards right field. They give him left.
You know, typical tendencies for fans out there is usually 100 batted balls, and that is where it gives you enough of a sample size to be able to look and trust your defense. But it has everything to do with where you're locating your pitches.
Ball and 2 strikes on Votto, and that's a check swing and a foul ball.
I see this cutting fastball. He's trying to spoil it. Gene Simmons. That's Kiss, by the way.
I followed. Fouls another one back. I was going to go Michael Jordan.
It's funny, I said Bobby Brown last night, and it was MC Hammer.
Oh,
I'm not good at that stuff.
No. Grant, that's his thing.
Yeah, it is.
As long as it's a hairband from the late 70s, early 80s. Votto, as always, battling. He's choked up, shortens the swing with 2 strikes. He'll foul him away until you miss. That's what made what Jose Castillo did last night so impressive.
Well,
foul ball.
You know, the other impressive thing is Joey Votto, and he chokes up on the bat. And for a lot of young kids out there to have bat control, which is a priority, especially with 2 strikes. It's not about taking big swings that we see in the game of baseball now. It's about giving yourself another opportunity. The strikeout is almost honored in the game these days, but for Joey Votto, has everything to do with bat control and hitting to all fields.
Watching him take a long turn at bat like this, there's almost something scientific to it. Into the gap, and a little bit of a miscommunication. I think it fell down in front of Margot. And runners are going to be on first and third with 2 outs here. I believe there was a brief moment where Manuel and Travis kind of looked at each other in left center, and once you take your eye off the ball, it becomes very, very difficult to make the play.
Well, it's so challenging. You see the choking up, and this is the cutter at the top of the strike zone. He's seen a couple pitches there, but he fights his hands inside and gets enough of that ball to dump it into left center. As you said, Jesse, the communication is imperative. Both guys that know that they're center fielders, but they have to communicate.
I don't know that the ball was catchable even with good communication, but there was a brief moment there, it looked like, where they both kind of knew the other was coming. So Winker went to third, Votto's at first base. 2 outs for Scooter Gennett, who's been held in check so far by Tyson today.
Well, when Scooter's going well, he likes the first pitch. Got to be careful of that. And what will Tyson Ross do to combat that?
6 of his 11 home runs this year have come on the first pitch. Not this time. How big is that caught stealing now at the beginning of the inning?
Sure is. Rafi Lopez with that good throw, nabbing Billy Hamilton, but also this foul ball nabs him right there.
Gennett loops that one into left field. It'll be an RBI hit. Reds have doubled their lead here in the 5th inning. A 2-out rally, the great at bat by Votto, and now Gennett drives in his 40th run of the year.
Yeah, to your point, Jesse, Joey Votto with his at bat setting up the scenario for Scooter Gennett. That really comes down to it, being able to handle the barrel of the bat with 2 strikes and passing the baton on to the next. Nice work by Scooter Gennett.
So first and second, 2 out for Suarez. He drove in the first run of the day with a home run, leading off in the 2nd inning against Tyson. I don't know that at any point this afternoon we have seen the great Tyson Ross slider over a consistent period of time, and I think it speaks to everything else that he's still battling here in the 5th inning, having only allowed the 2 runs.
Yeah, I think we're accustomed to see more strikeouts from Tyson Ross, the finish pitch. And it might be to your point.
Hit well to left field, but it looks like Jankowski's got a beat on it. Travis makes the catch, and the inning comes to a close. Reds, though, at another halfway. Cincinnati by 2. Only a pair of singles in this game, both to Eric Hosmer. One with one out in the first inning and the other with one out in the fourth. Hosmer not scheduled to hit in the top three here in the fifth. We'll see if the Padres can get it to him. That would mean a big inning. Franmil Reyes leading off, and he takes the breaking ball low and outside. In his last four hits, two of them home runs. Homered in the first 3 games of that 4-game series against Miami. And a fastball strike on the outside corner, 1-1. Back in the starting lineup last night, Reyes 2 for 3 with a run scored, and Andy Green trying to balance his playing time with Hunter Renfroe as the Padres continue to sort through the outfield situation that really has been ever changing since spring training. I looked through much of February and March like the idea was going to be how do we figure out who plays and how often, and then the injuries have kept on coming and coming and coming, and still without a couple of key pieces. Reyes gets a piece on 1 and 2, and Franchi Cordero the latest to go to the disabled list. Hunter Renfroe recently back from the disabled list. Will Myers still on the disabled list. Will Myers has played in only 10 games.
Yeah, that's been tough. It gives other guys opportunities, but very difficult to have a guy that you're going to rely on.
Reyes chops it into the ground at third. That is a foul ball.
Wow.
I'm with you. Looked good to me. Suarez made the play. Reyes was hustling, so he heads back to first base.
Down the line, a very difficult ball to cover, and Lance Barksdale was all over it.
No argument from Suarez. So Reyes with a couple of foul balls after he fell behind 1 and 2. Now another one from Castillo. And a good take. 2 balls and 2 strikes. Last inning against the Padres, Luis Castillo threw 15 pitches. That's the most he's thrown in an inning so far today. He has been wildly efficient. Another foul ball, though, as Reyes makes some work here. Now 7 pitches in this at bat.
Well, you always look in the workload of a young pitcher and how managers are going to manage their pitch count. 4 times he's gone over 100 pitches, and his limit has been 107. He's done that twice.
Threw 90 in his last start Tuesday at Chase Field in Phoenix. Reds wrapping up this long road trip, and Reyes has worked the count full. Castillo has had only 1 3-ball count all afternoon, and he has not yet walked a batter. Tough luck Freddie waiting on deck. Here's the payoff to Reyes, and another foul ball.
Oh, it's a nice swing. Franmil got a good pitch to hit. It's such a fine line, too. Takes a nice swing on that 3-2 offering.
For comparative purposes, as we just saw, Castillo needed 10 pitches to get 3 outs in the 3rd inning. This will be the 10th of this at bat. It's another 3-2, and it's a ground ball up the middle. It'll get through for a base hit. What a job by Franmil Reyes. A 10-pitch AB. That'll give him and Joey Votto something to talk about at first base. Only the 3rd hit of the day for the Padres against Castillo.
And we're starting to slow the game down, and you can see those consistent at-bats start showing up. So many things to love. Obviously, you touch on his power. That's a nice at-bat. Work in the middle of the field.
He's not just a big, strong guy. He's a thinker up there and in the video room, and it's fun watching him start to develop here at this level. Galvis takes way inside. I called him Tough Luck Freddie a minute ago. It seems like every other at bat in the last week or so he has stung the ball and it's been caught. That was the case back in the 2nd inning. Reyes not much of a threat to run over at first base. And Galvis trying to bunt his way on. That is perfect. Base hit. Created a little bit of your own luck.
You know what? Part of being a successful bunter is timing. And this was perfect timing. The previous pitch was missed inside, so you think he's going to go away, possibly even the changeup, and he dumps this down the left side of the infield. Suarez just puts it in his pocket.
Last year, Freddie Galvis had 6 bunt hits. That was the 4th most in the entire National League. So now the tying runs aboard as the Padres have doubled their hit total through the first 4 innings here after 2 batters in the 5th. Reyes at second, Galvis at first for the number 7 hitter Manuel Margot.
Well, he might back it up with another bunt.
Freddie Galvis with his 3rd bunt hit of the season.
Now, why I say that is Tyson Ross's pitch count is elevating. Put a guy in a position to get Rafi Lopez up there with RBI situations.
Saw Margot's numbers with runners in scoring position. They're pretty staggering. That's a decent sample size too. He's 11 out of 30 with runners in scoring position. You have a theory? He's hitting 214 on the year, but almost 370 with guys ISP.
Yeah, that tells me that you have to get yourself mentally into that mode, because your concentration locks in even more.
Done a great job with it. He's got Reyes in scoring position now. This is the first time today the Padres have had a man in scoring position, and now 3-0 on Margot.
Well, that plate's starting to move around for Castillo.
Lopez hit a very deep fly ball his first time up. He's got power, a couple homers this year. And Jim Riggleman's arms are crossed. Things getting a little bit more interesting for him after Castillo flew through 4 innings. Margot taking, and now 3-1. Padres in last night's win were 5 for 9 with runners in scoring position.
Yeah, remember last night Manny Margot hit with 2 strikes. This is a situation where you have to look for a particular pitch. Get him in the strike zone.
They say it's a hitter's count. Now 3-2. That's where it helps to be able to throw 97, 98 when you want to. Padres all year have done a very nice job with runners in scoring position. We'll see the Braves against Andy Green's guys starting here tomorrow night.
Well, this is when, if you're Freddie Galvis at first base, Joey Votto's off the bag, so you can extend your lead. Try to disrupt it even if he hits that ground ball.
Payoff pitch is fouled straight back. I'll make you talk to yourself. Castillo working with multiple men on base for the first time today.
Now there's a shot of Joey Votto. He is on that back right hip of Freddie Galvis, so you can extend your lead a little bit.
Another 3-2 to Margot, and he pops it up. Votto going back into foul territory. Long way to go, and he doesn't have a play. Another long at bat here against Luis Castillo in the 5th inning. Galvis with a bunt single, Reyes in front of him. A 10-pitch at bat that ended in a single, and now the 8th pitch of this at bat between Castillo and Margot. Another foul ball. Manuel Margot's lone home run this year came all the way back on April 5th against the Rockies. That was on the very first homestand of the season. 2 on and nobody out here in the bottom of the 5th. And that is ball 4. Bases loaded and nobody out. First walk of the day issued by Castillo.
Well, Jesse, only the 11th walk that Manny Margot has had in the full year, and that was a huge one. Nice plate appearance by Manny Margot.
Danny Darwin, the pitching coach, going to go out and visit with Castillo, who's had to work as hard here as he has pretty much the first 4 innings combined. Reds down to 4 mound visits, by the way.
Glad you're counting.
Double-barreled action. Hernandez the righty, Peralta the lefty. The Reds' 2-0 lead probably felt pretty comfortable to them about 10 minutes ago. But a couple of base hits and a walk have loaded the bases with nobody out here in the bottom of the 5th. Rafi Lopez coming up. Mentioned that Lopez hit it well in his first at bat against Castillo. Flew out to deep center field. A lot of ways to be productive here for Rafi Lopez.
Now for Lopez, really look at the center of the plate, because a lot of the movement is moving it off the plate for Castillo. You could see pulling it to the left, but also losing it arm side. Want to square up that center of the plate and look for that mistake.
Pitcher's spot is next for the Padres, and Hunter Renfroe, a formidable presence to say the least, has stepped into the on-deck circle to hit, presumably, for Tyson Ross.
Well, with Manny Margot's speed on first, if he shoots a gap, it'd be a great scenario for the Padres.
Great speed at first. Galvis average at second. Reyes is at third. Doesn't matter about his legs. And now 2 balls and a strike to Rafi Lopez.
After that first swing of Rafi, you got to remember that just cut that swing down. Let Castillo supply the power.
Padres with their first rally of the afternoon.
97 miles an hour up at the top of the zone. Very tough to catch up to.
Little roller out in front of the plate. It's going to be the pitcher Castillo. They get to force it home. Nicely done. Now, as a heads-up play by Barnhart, the catcher, he stayed home knowing they had the opportunity to get the force out there. They do, and the 2-0 lead is preserved for the moment now with 1 away.
Well, how about the athleticism by Luis Castillo? You can see him getting off the mound. The only play he has is the glove play flip to Tucker Barnhart. That is impressive by the youngster.
I said a moment ago, Reyes' speed didn't matter, being the guy at third base. I don't know that Jankowski scores there, but perhaps the speed does apply. A little bit of extra pressure on the defense. We'll never know. So the base is still loaded, but now 1 away. Lopez at first. Galvis is the runner at third, and Margot the middleman. Renfroe will pinch hit for Tyson Ross.
I haven't seen too many breaking balls by Castillo, but you're probably going to see them against Hunter Renfroe. Fastballs in and sliders away.
There's a slider and a ground ball in front of Glenn Hoffman. 0-1.
Really his third pitch on the day. You can tell by the confidence he has on the changeup.
He's the last Padre to hit a grand slam just over a year ago. Hunter 6 for his last 13 since coming off the DL on Monday. Another slider and a called strike, 0-2.
Yeah, got a call there. He's asking Scott Berry where that pitch was. Looked like it was just off the plate, but he gets a call because of the location.
So Renfroe behind immediately, 0-2. Talked about the good numbers since he came off the DL and all the talk early in the year about his struggles against right-handed pitching. Just a handful of at-bats, but 6 for 9 against right-handed pitchers in the last week or so. Renfroe pinch hitting here for Tyson Ross. Bases loaded and 1 out. Padres trying to at least get on the board here in the bottom of the 5th, if not have the big inning. Inside, ball 1.
Now back-to-back fastballs, and you would think that he's probably going to go to that slider right here. Still have to cover the velocity on the fastball.
Launches it out to deep left field. Looking up, and that is a grand slam. Just like that, 4-2 Padres.
I tell you what, Jesse, Hunter Renfroe just beat Luis Castillo with his 3rd best pitch. So many sliders, and this one's the mistake. Elevated, this goes a long way. Hunter Renfroe with a big grand slam to put the Padres ahead. What a swing.
Top of the order, Travis Jankowski. Padres leading for the first time this afternoon.
I tell you who's got a big smile on his face is Tyson Ross.
I was just thinking the same thing. All of a sudden, he's in line for the win. 5 innings, couple of runs. And still a little bit of a long road to travel here, only the 5th inning. But Hunter Renfroe has put a jolt into this Sunday afternoon crowd here in San Diego.
You know, it's the fruits of the labor, as you saw Tyson Ross with the big smile. Hunter Renfroe has put a lot of work in against those righties and combating that slider. It's been his kryptonite.
Yeah, we saw him out here, what, before the game yesterday?
And Matt Stairs, Johnny Washington putting all kinds of work into not only hitting the slider, but the mental approach.
Talked about how efficient Castillo had been all afternoon, or at least in the first 4 innings. He has now thrown 35 pitches here in the 5th. 20 more than any other inning. Still only 1 out. And Jankowski goes the other way again, but Duvall is there to make the catch. That's twice Travis has sent one out that way, and Duvall made a running play on it. Out number 2. Now the 7th man to bat against Castillo this inning will be Eric Hosmer.
You know what, Jesse, going back to the at-bat of Reyes, he sets it up with the single. Freddie Galvis lays down the perfect bunt, and Manny Margot runs his walk to get the bases loaded, setting that up. So impressive.
That was a 9-pitch walk that Margot drew. And the Reyes hit, which, as you mentioned, started it all off. That was a 10-pitch at bat, and those things, in a cumulative sort of way, can wear down on a pitcher. And he hung the slider to Renfroe, and Hunter didn't miss it. Hosmer can't quite believe that call, and now he's behind 0-2. And Hosmer goes the other way, another opposite field base hit. He is 3 for 3. That one coming on a no ball, 2-strike count.
Yeah, the reaction of Luis Castillo was priceless after that line drive to left. He's just frustrated because he's elevating pitches. What Eric Hosmer does with 2 strikes, top of the strike zone, you have to handle velocity, gets the barrel on top, and watch the reaction. It's snowballing on the young right-hander.
Well, that snowball has reached the bottom of the mountain because he has been pulled from this game. Jim Riggleman removes the starter who had cruised through 4 here with 2 outs in the bottom of the 5th. The Padres leading 4-2 at Petco. A 4-2 lead here in the bottom of the 5th inning. It also helped chase the Red starter Luis Castillo. And so on to throw, right-hander David Hernandez.
The veteran David Hernandez, we remember in the Arizona Diamondbacks uniform, 15th appearance, and he is a workhorse. Why I say that is 6 appearances, been more than 1 inning this year for the Reds. That's typical for this bullpen.
Yeah, we've seen a lot of multi-inning outings in this series, and as you said, he's been a part of that on this road trip and throughout the season. Jose Perella is the 8th man to hit for the Padres here in the 5th inning. Pinch hit go-ahead grand slams do not happen every day. Big time moment for Hunter Renfroe as Perella fights one off into shallow center. And a nice over-the-shoulder play made by Scooter Gennett. Looked like it was going to be dicey for a moment, but the Reds find the 3rd out here in the 5th. Hunter Renfroe, though, has put the Padres in front. Hangy and bangy. A grand slam for a 2nd consecutive season for the big outfielder. in the bottom of the 5th. Time now to answer our Valley View Casino trivia question. How many players on the Padres' current 25-man roster were first-round draft picks? What is your guess?
I'm going to say 7. Oh, sorry, there he put it up. And how about Hunter Renfroe, first-round pick out of Mississippi State.
Hosmer by Kansas City, of course. Jordan Lyles by the Houston Astros. Phil Hughes by the Yankees. Everybody else, a Padre first-round draft pick. 2018 June Amateur Draft, as I believe it is officially known, begins tomorrow. Adam Simber delivers first pitch. Fouled away by Duvall.
The Bulldog Nation, Mississippi State, are very excited now after that grand slam, and so is Adam Simber. See him working his 25th game. Worked last night, threw 25 pitches last night, 18 for strikes, and struck out the side.
Also hit a batter and allowed a single. He's not quite everyday Adam, but pretty close. And used a ton and had a wonderful season. Quickly 0-2 on Duvall.
Raffy's getting beat up back there.
Having a day, huh?
So you want to catch, and this speeds up off the bat. That's a shot to the forehead.
So Simber with the 3 strikeouts in last night's appearance misses outside. 1-2. Ball popped to short. Grounded out to the catcher. Hitless in the series. Talked last night with Jose Castillo making his major league debut about all of the different Padres to make their debuts this year and the starting pitchers last year as well. And it's such a tough thing, particularly for the starters. Duvall sends this one out to left center. Jankowski takes charge of the situation, and just before he gets to that shadow, he makes the catch.
This copyrighted telecast is presented by the authority of the San Diego Padres, may not be reproduced or retransmitted in any forms, and accounts and descriptions of this game may not be disseminated without the express written consent of the San Diego Padres. Nice work, Hunter Renfroe.
Yeah, I said he had homered or had a grand slam now 2 consecutive years. It's actually 3. He had one in that September call-up back in 2016. I think that was the 2-homer game also. Thank you to David on Twitter for the reminder. Peraza 1 for 2 with a single and a strikeout. Make it 1 for 3.
At Kia, get America's best value backed by a 10-year, 100,000-mile warranty.
So a couple of quick outs for Adam Simber as the Padres lead by 2 here in the top of the 6th inning. And with the pitcher in the 8th spot, the Reds are going to have to pinch hit here. Alex Blandino brings his .253 average to the plate. Came into play shortstop as part of a 7th inning double switch last night. He flew out in his only at bat. So there will be no multi-inning outing for David Hernandez this time. He came in, got the last out in the 5th for the Reds. They'll turn it over to somebody else in the 6th. Should be a 1-2-3 inning for Adam Simber. It is. Padres with a 4-2 lead in the middle of the 6th. Villanueva left this game after fouling that pitch off of his left ankle in his first AB. The Padres are now calling it a left ankle contusion. Eugenio Suarez would homer in his first at bat, leading off the second inning, gave the Reds a 1-0 lead. They'd add another in the fifth, but then at the bottom of that inning, a pinch hit, go-ahead grand slam for Hunter Renfroe. And the Padres in front 4-2. That's where we stand, opening up the bottom of the sixth inning. And Luis Castillo was cruising through the first four, but the Padres got to him in the fifth. Tyson Ross in line for his fifth win of the season. Eric Hosmer continuing to be Eric Hosmer, one of the hottest hitters in baseball the last couple of weeks, and a pinch hit go-ahead grand slam. You don't get to do that too often.
Well, in for the Reds to pitch the bottom of the sixth is Wandy Peralta.
And he'll have a play defensively right out of the chute here. Throws Spangenberg out.
That was an absolute bullet to first. Trying to get loose. See the 30 appearances. That's second behind National League leader Brian Shaw of the Rockies. And last year as a rookie, 69 appearances. That led all of baseball with rookie pitchers. This guy's a workhorse.
Votto's got to protect himself over there. He might ask for the catcher's mask next time. It's one thing to throw 97 or 98 to the plate. It's another to send it to your first baseman.
I played over there sporadically. That's uncomfortable because you don't know what they're thinking. And a lot of guys really don't like to throw to bases. It might sound weird to a lot of fans, but they like getting on the mound, being able to push off and throw home, try to execute pitches. So if they're uncomfortable, what do? They throw 98 to first.
Well, struck the other way over Votto into right field for a base hit. Franmil Reyes singles in each of his last two at-bats. A one-out base runner for the Padres. Certainly wouldn't have any problem with them adding on some runs here in the middle innings. Padres had not had a go-ahead pinch hit grand slam since 1995.
Arquis Cianfranco had that one. The Arc Man.
Only the seventh time in Padre history that has taken place. That's a foul ball at third. Did Suarez just make a throw even though he didn't have the ball? I think he did. That's a big hit, Hunter. Boy, as a pinch hitter, that's got to be like the best feeling, right? You hit the home run exactly in the big spot, and you just get to sip on your water the rest of the afternoon.
It's a great afternoon. Get the barbecue ready.
Good night to grill, especially after a win. 98 past Galvis, who's now hitting from the right side, 0-2. Talked about Adam Simber being used so much everyday Adam. I don't know that everyday Wandy has quite the same ring to it. Another slow roller. Suarez has the ball this time and makes the play for out number 2. Reyes gets to second. That walk, one of the key plate appearances in this entire game.
Sure was.
And he'll be intentionally walked here. So 2 on and 2 out. Rafi Lopez, left-handed hitting catcher against the hard throwing left-handed reliever Peralta. That's the matchup Jim Riggleman chooses to go for here in the 6th inning.
Oh, Jesse, the challenges of managing in the National League, obviously having to make moves. Jim Riggleman sitting there scratching his head trying to create what they're going to do. Both of these managers have a shorter bench.
Yeah, especially after the Villanueva injury. The Padres now with only A.J. Ellis and Matt Caesar available.
So many managers like to be able to do it with a high surplus of pitching, so they add a reliever, but you have to be creative to be able to manage in the National League.
It's interesting too, because we often hear Andy Green talk about, the decision to send a relief pitcher down to AAA or to bring somebody up, and they kind of look at the schedule. They look at how the bullpen has been used in the days previous when they make those decisions. And sometimes you can get away with carrying an extra position player because all right, we've got a couple of days off coming, or we've gotten a couple of deep starts from our pitchers. There's a lot of thought that goes into that kind of stuff for these managers.
Yeah, creativity. I think you have to have it. I think for the Padre fans to realize this, Thursday is a big day. It's an off day. So for Andy Green and his staff to be able to manage games accordingly.
After the mound visit, Reds are down to 3 of them now.
Glad you're counting.
2 on and 2 out for Rafi Lopez. Peralta's first pitch is a fastball that misses low.
We got people to do that, right?
I like keeping track of the mound visits.
I like that you do keep track.
You want to know how I keep track?
Yes,
It's a very sophisticated system.
What do? You look at the scoreboard?
I do, yeah, exactly.
There you go.
MVR, mound visits remaining. Just like our great-grandfathers saw in the ballparks of yesteryear. High-tech system. Last I read, by the way, only one team in one game had run out of mound visits.
Yeah, I'm not a fan.
It was the Rockies in a game against the Padres back in April at Coors.
And how much time is it shaving off?
I don't know if it's about time of game as much as it is there's just less dead time. I find it inoffensive, the limit. Figure it out. Lopez, a catcher, certainly has had to deal with that. I talked to Austin Hedges about it, I guess last month, and I asked him if at any point this year, and this was obviously before he was hurt, did he think about that rule before not going out there? And he said, yeah, early in games, I kind of look over to Andy and see if it's okay. But I think what everybody realized pretty quickly was it's hard to use them all. So it's really not hindering much.
You know what I miss too, though? First of all, it's all emotion of the game and how you settle guys in, what you try to do. I miss the guys that hated when the catcher came out. And they were angry about it. But you could see the expression on their face and it changed their demeanor. Some of those things, I just miss that stuff.
Matt Caesar in the on-deck circle. If Lopez keeps this thing alive, runners will go. Margot from first, Reyes from second. Up the middle, and that is through for a base hit. They're going to wave Franmil. He'll score without a play. Rafi Lopez adds on. 5-2 Padres in the 6th.
All day we've touched on what Rafi Lopez brings to the club. It's always been defensive. What he does for Tyson Ross, throwing out runners, but now coming up with a huge at-bat, an add-on run. Offensively challenging times for Lopez, coming in, hitting 150. And this is a really nice knock. Putting your piece in offensively. Tip of the cap to Rafi Lopez.
And now a third different reliever used here in the last 2 innings by Jim Riggleman. 2 on and 2 out, Padres by 3. RBI single has added a run. Jared Hughes has sprinted in from the bullpen in center field, so he's ready to go.
And now I'm spent.
28th appearance of the year for Hughes. He has been outstanding. And here it is. He does not waste any time.
I'll tell you what. He doesn't want the cart. We touched on that last night. Just a way and a manner that a lot of these relievers have some quirky attributes.
That was so nicely put. They were just in Arizona before coming here, and Lorenzen took the cart in one night. And so on their telecast, they synced up Hughes sprinting and Lorenzen in the cart, and Hughes beat him.
Yeah.
He was faster than the cart.
And he's spent.
All I can think about is Heath Bell.
And sliding.
Yeah.
All-star game, right?
Yeah.
All-star game in Arizona. That's your typical appearance when you go into in relief in an all-star game and you have a grass stain. That's heater.
One and two to the pinch hitter, Matt Caesar. Lopez was going from first base. Padres were down 2-0 going to the bottom of the fifth. And in this very spot in the batting order, Hunter Renfroe had a pinch hit grand slam. Lopez adds on, and now ball and 2 strikes on pinch hitter Matt Caesar. And Lopez going to take second base. The delayed steal that time. Raffy's first.
Well, why not, Rafi?
I'm sorry, I called it delayed. He's just not that fast.
I'm sure that was said when I decided to take a burst at second base.
I apologize to Raffy Lopez.
He's going to be mad at you.
I will go in tomorrow and find him. I just kind of looked up after the pitch, and he was like a third of the way there, so I figured it was a delayed steal. It wasn't. First career stolen base for Raffy Lopez. Mea culpa. So 2 in scoring position now for Caesar. Hughes in his career has pitched exclusively in the National League Central. Longtime Pirate with Milwaukee last year, and now a Red. Loves the heartland. Ball 3 to Matt Caesar. The Padres have had some tough ABs in the last couple of innings.
Yeah, you know what? I think Matt Stairs has to be very pleased of going up there with a plan, battling in the batter's box, but also 2-strike hitting has been very good of late. Touched on the runners in scoring position.
On 3 and 2, he swings through a fastball to end the inning. Padres, though, add another. Raffy Lopez, RBI hit. price is the lowest price every day. By the Memphis Barbecue Thick Burger, only at Carl's Jr. and only for a limited time. Pick it up. And by USAA, official military appreciation partner of the San Diego Padres. 5-2 San Diego here in the top of the 7th inning. They have come from behind to take a lead on the Cincinnati Reds. Time now for the Coors Banquet Timeless Moment. On this date in 1995, Pedro Martinez, then an Expo, throws 9 perfect innings against the Padres in Mission Valley. Goes out there for the 10th, and Bip Roberts doubles.
Well, I'll tell you what, for Pedro Martinez, that's the question we always hear, is who was the nastiest pitcher you faced? Easy answer. Pedro Martinez in Montreal.
Craig Stammen been pretty nasty for the Padres the last couple of seasons, making his 26th appearance. Hamilton, Winker, Barnhart, 9-1-2 due up.
Well, Craig Stammen pitched the 7th inning last night and got Jose Peraza to hit into a huge double play. Also a strikeout in his inning. But I thought that was a moment last night that settled the game.
It was really an all-around team effort, top to bottom. Offense, pitching, as the Padres even the series. And now Stammen out there in a hold situation. Jose Castillo, the other big story, he worked the 8th. Not available today, by the way, Castillo. He had also pitched the previous night for El Paso, so Andy Green said I obviously might be tempted to want to go to him, but he is down.
Well, drink it in, because that was a great debut. Punching out the side. A lot of excitement in the building after he did that.
2-2 now to Billy Hamilton, who was caught stealing by Rafi Lopez after he drew a walk to lead off his last time in the 5th inning. Winker, the leadoff man on deck. Nice day for Rafi Lopez. Took another one. I'd say it's a nice day because he threw out Billy Hamilton because he came through with the big hit, but he's also had 3 or 4 of those.
Oh, he's going to be sore at the barbecue today. He's been taking a beating back there.
You mentioned Pedro and having to face him. Who were those other guys that were just impossible?
Oh, well, I wouldn't say impossible, but difficult was Greg Maddux. That sticks out because it wasn't velocity. It was about how he could manipulate a baseball. But it had to be a lot of the closers. Rob Nens, Mark Wohlers in Atlanta. So many of those guys, but obviously Trevor Hoffman and Mariano Rivera. Those were the challenges. Just didn't want to get embarrassed when it came to that level of player. But for Pedro Martinez, he threw harder in Montreal. Looked like he wanted to throw the ball through you at times. He had that presence, and it wasn't that big body because he's very slender. But man, could he throw the baseball and had that Bugs Bunny changeup.
He's got the same body as Billy Hamilton. On the inside corner, strike 3 called. That's paint from Craig Stammen.
He just carves you up, knows where to pitch it, full command, and that's what it is. It's location with command, and knowing what this ball is going to do on the glove side, being able to put it back on the plate. That movement freezes Billy Hamilton. For Craig Stammen, putting on an absolute clinic.
So Winker at the top of the order takes low from Stammen. He singled and scored back in the 5th inning. That was the second Red run. Got the homer from Suarez in inning number 2. They were leading 2-0. Castillo, the starter for the Reds, was just kind of floating right along. And Padres got to him in the 5th. The big hit, of course, Renfroe's pinch hit, go-ahead grand slam. Another one, another hit against a right-handed pitcher. Winker hits that one pretty well the other way, but it'll be a foul ball. Galvis stays home at shortstop as you start to see some of the shadows interfering on the left side of the infield and in left field. From a hitter's standpoint, nothing doing yet, but pop-ups, be aware of it. Into the shift. That's Perella. Nice job with a funny hop. And out number 2 for Stammen here in the 7th.
Well, Jesse, with those shadows creeping in, now the priority becomes defending, but also the pitchers and what they do with the baseball. It can be very difficult for these hitters as these shadows start creeping.
So what you got is you got the planet Earth, and it rotates around the sun. And so at different times, because it's always moving, the sun is in different places essentially. I guess the Earth is in different places, but it looks different here. It's amazing.
Sure is.
2 outs and the base is empty for Tucker Barnhart. He has walked and also twice flown out to Manuel Margot in center field. Stammen trying to work a 1-2-3 inning. Gets a call, 1-1.
Well, this is the days where you sit there and if you're a hitter, you wake up and say, if it's cloudy, we're good. If it's sunny, late in the game, it's going to get difficult.
Well, San Diego, odds are it's going to be sunny, and it is. You love having the lead going to the late innings because of that. Spangenberg, the third baseman, just got to the right side of the infield. So they were not shifting early in the count on Tucker Barnhart. Now they do. Doesn't matter. Strike 3 down the middle and a 1-2-3 top of the 7th inning for Craig Stammen. He continues to impress, and the Padres continue to lead against the Reds here at Petco Park. 5-2 San Diego after 6.5 innings. And of course, on this Military Sunday, we will keep it right here to bring you a very special presentation of God Bless America. In foul territory back behind third base.
It's time for the 7th inning stretch. Before we sing Take Me Out to the Ball Game here on Military Sunday, please stand and welcome back founder of Voice for Heroes, Amy Scruggs. Please sing along as she presents God Bless America.
God bless America, land that I love. Stand beside her and guide her through the night with a light from above. From the mountains to the prairies to the oceans, wide with foam. America, my home, sweet home. God bless America, my home, sweet home.
series of this homestand. Julio Teheran scheduled to go for Los Bravos against the lefty Clayton Richard, and base runners beware. Both of these guys are pickoff artists near the top of the National League the last couple of years. Travis Jankowski to lead it off. Padres by 3 in the bottom of the 7th inning, and Jared Hughes, who came on to strike out Matt Caesar to end the 6th, opens up the 7th on the mound. Travis is 0 for 3. Hit the ball well the other way a couple of times, and both times Adam Duvall happened to find the ball in his glove. Cincinnati's struggles against the Padres, nothing new. Pods are 21-13 against the Reds going back to 2013, by far their best record versus any other team. And that should be a routine out number 1. It is. Padres have not lost a series to the Reds since 2012.
Yeah, there's certain teams like that. Obviously the roster changes and there's so many dynamics that add to that, but those typical places that you feel more comfortable with, and those numbers end up bearing out what the truth is. But certain team, it's not when you play them, it's who you play and how they're doing and what's going on with them. The timing aspect of it really comes into play.
What a day for Eric Hosmer. He is singled in all 3 at bats, in the 1st, in the 4th, and in the 5th. The last 2 have gone to the opposite field. Getting comfortable now at Petco Park. A couple of borderline pitches go Eric's way. 2 balls and no strikes. Funny with the scheduling and all these series where we see the Marlins here and then you go right to Miami, and the Braves are coming and then we go right to Atlanta. Not the case with the Reds. Teams will not meet up until September when they play a 4-game series at Great American Ballpark. Votto's got it, and a nice job by Hughes to get there in plenty of time. So Hosmer retired for the first time this afternoon. A couple of ground ball outs for Jared Hughes in the bottom of the 7th inning. Hughes about as quick to first there as he is coming in from the bullpen.
Well, he's loose. I mean, that's how he gets loose.
You think he was out there for the rock and roll marathon?
Wouldn't be surprised. It's like Forrest Gump, right? I love you, Jenny.
He was running. Jose Perella, 2 outs and the base is empty. Hughes trying to run through the Padres here in the bottom of the 7th inning. He has retired all 3 men that he has faced, and a big swing and a miss. Speaking of swings and misses, hello, Mr. Hand. Haven't seen Brad Hand, the National League reliever of the month, yet in this series, but it appears we will get to check on him perhaps in the 8th. We saw that earlier on this homestand against Miami. Andy Green going to him in the 8th inning with the heart of the Marlin batting order due up. And what do you know, in the 8th here this afternoon, Votto, Jeanette, and Suarez, probably their 3 best hitters, including 2 left-handed guys right out of the chute.
Andy Green's thinking. He even announced that during spring training that he was going to possibly do that with Brad Hand, versatile reliever.
Perella strikes out for the 2nd time this afternoon. Barnhart will throw down there to complete the play, and it is a 1-2-3 bottom of the 7th for Hughes. Looks like it'll be Brad Hand time in the 8th.
The eighth. Clay and I are working on Padres Live, the post-game show, brought to you by Cox Communications. But this is right where Andy Green wants to have his team, going to a guy like Brad Hand right now and having Kirby Yates and company.
Without a doubt. You know, this bullpen's starting to shore up, and Brad Hand is obviously the backstop on this one. He's got some options, though. He can come with Yates, or he can come even with Castillo. He did a great job last night, but I think he's going to run with Hand to get these last 6 outs.
All right, when we see you after the final out today, we're going to have the highlights for you, including the Grand Slam, once again, by Hunter Renfroe. Also get you set for the next series beginning tomorrow when the Atlanta Braves come to town. Jesse and Mark.
Mike and Clay, thank you both very much. Yeah, that's the interesting conversation here. Is Brad Hand going to do what he did Tuesday night against Miami and work the 8th against the heart of the order and turn it over to somebody else in the 9th? Or is Andy Green going to say, all right, it's been a few days, let's just see if we can get all 6 outs? It'll depend in part, I guess, probably on how this 8th inning goes.
Well, we've seen Brad Hand be efficient, obviously pound the strike zone, and it has everything to do with his breaking ball. So I think Andy Green, last appearance was Thursday for Brad Hand, so he is plenty healthy enough to handle 2 innings of work.
What a matchup here with Votto. Doesn't get the call on the elevated fastball, so 1-1. These are 2 guys just at the absolute height of their craft. Reliever of the month in the National League. Second time Brad has won that award since coming over to the Padres. Votto lays off a close slider.
Yeah, and I think this is when Joey Votto really goes into that concentration mode and thinks about going the opposite way. We'll see him sink into his legs. We touched on how he chokes up on the bat. We'll watch him sink into his legs and let that ball travel as far as he can. He's almost willing Brad Hand to throw that fastball. I think he's sitting totally on that breaking ball. High percentage of breaking balls by Brad Hand, especially in his last month of work, where he was the NL reliever of the month.
Another talented left-handed bat waiting on deck for the Reds. Votto a double and a pair of singles here today. The 2-2 from Hand, close but no, and now the full count. This was always going 3-2. Brad Hand to Joey Votto. And there was always going to be a foul ball on 3-2.
Joey's upset at that because it was a middle way fastball that he thought he should have gotten to.
Yeah, we've seen him talking to himself all weekend.
Yeah, watch him shorten up here. Just barely fouls it off. I think Brad goes to the slider here.
Another 3-2, and he got him. 95, and he blows it right past Joey Votto, who again is frustrated with himself. He's out for the first time today. 1 away for Brad Hand in the 8th.
Well, for Brad, it's all been the breaking ball, especially with the 11 saves in the month of May. This is the fastball. That's what we saw last year. It was almost like the hitters were guessing, and Joey Votto frustrated with that strikeout. It's a tough guy to strike out.
So Hand uses 7 pitches to get out number 1. Jeanette, RBI single as last time, also a couple of ground outs. And that fastball is off the plate, 1-0. Scooter has homered against Brad Hand. Good slider, 1-1. So on Tuesday night, it was Real Muto, Bohr, and Anderson, and he went strikeout, strikeout, pop-up. Again in the 8th inning then, and being used again in the 8th inning here today. All in 2 strikes on Jeanette.
Now the fastball command is really good today for Brad Hand. I think that's the difference maker, because that puts him in a mode where I can throw anything at any time. At times Brad Hand has dominated, and he's dominated only with one pitch, and it's been that slider. He starts getting that command of the fastball. Good night.
Yeah, it's whatever happens to be working on a particular day. On 1 and 2, tries that high fastball. One of the things I feel like nobody talks about with Brad Hand is what great shape he's in. He is a big, strong man. And you don't often think of relief pitchers in that way, and sometimes it can be hard to tell because he's out there on the mound all by himself. But this is a large guy. A lot of muscle to command the baseball the way he does.
And it's the work that he has put in. He's taken his game to another level.
Yeah, how about the paths each of these 2 guys have traveled the last couple of years?
You see him 6'3", 228. Stand next to him and you realize how big he is, how strong he is, but really has to do with the mentality of being a workhorse for Andy Green.
Another 2-strike pitch to Scooter Jeanette. And fouled away. So yeah, Brad Hand claimed off waivers from Miami a couple of years ago. Has gone on to be one of the best relief pitchers in all of baseball. And Jeanette, same kind of situation. At the very end of spring training last year, they claimed him off waivers from Milwaukee, and he has turned into one of the best hitters in the National League, at least so far this year. Had a huge season a year ago with 27 home runs. You never know. And he has worked the count full. At the draft coming up tomorrow, we're going to talk about all these top picks and these guys and the impacts they're going to make, and many of them will, obviously. But what a reminder here is you've got Brad Hand and Scooter Jeanette going head to head. But it's not always that first stop when a guy can figure it out and become a star. Eighth pitch of the at-bat is hit high and deep to right. Franmil is running back. He's going to run out of space. Scooter Jeanette has homered again, his 2nd of the series. Second homer of the day for the Reds. His 12th, now a 5-3 game.
You know, Jesse, I talked about it. It's a guessing game when you think about what Brad Hand is offering left on left. And we saw him earlier in the series, the first game, hit one off Robbie Erlin. But this is the breaking ball, and you can almost sit on a breaking ball when you get to that 3-2 count. And he wins that battle, and he guessed right.
Great at bat. Now Suarez, who homered back in the 2nd inning. Perfect slider for strike 1. Andy Green going with Brad Hand in the 8th inning for the 2nd time in a week. Tuesday night it worked against Miami. Now protecting a 2-run lead after the home run by Jeanette. Close pitch, but now a ball and 2 strikes the count on Suarez. Brad will tell you, by the way, and has said this when asked about it, he is unconcerned about when he's used, for how long. Well, I think closers for a long time, and Craig Kimbrell has talked openly about this. I want to know my role. It's not the case for everybody, particularly in today's day and age. Perfect, strike 3. My goodness. You've got to go back to the dugout now. 2 away.
Well, like you said, Jesse, I mean, it's about Brad Hand, and it doesn't matter with the situation when he comes in. And he can spin a baseball with the best of them. And Suarez, one of the better hitters in the National League. Freeze frame.
Took him a moment to recover. So now 2 outs for Adam Duvall. He's 0 for 3 on the afternoon. Slider. Inside, ball 1. I mean, on that strike 3 to Suarez, the plate umpire Scott Berry was starting to ring him up before Lopez even framed the pitch, before his glove even finished receiving the baseball. Absolutely filthy. Duvall obviously has some pop in the bat. He's a 10-homer guy, and that one hit hard into left for a base hit. So a strikeout, a homer, another strikeout, now a single with 2 outs. And the Reds are not going quietly here against Brad Hand in the 8th. Braz only a couple of at-bats against Hand in his career. 1 for 3 with a single and a strikeout. That slider catches the outside corner, 0-1.
Now you start looking up, and it's 22 pitches. I think who's a fan of this if Brad Hand does extend himself into the 9th inning. The Atlanta Braves are really happy about this coming into town and knowing that Brad Hand is getting extended.
I think there's a real good shot. You see Kirby Yates in the 9th. And again, that may have been the plan all along. We'll hear what Andy Green has to say. You tune in to hear what Mike and Clay have in the post-game show. You'll hear from Andy. And a lot of that pitch count and that ratio, that's credit to Votto and Jeanette both. I don't think there's anything crazy about what Andy Green decided to do here today. Hey, these are their 3 best hitters. I'm going to my best reliever. No offense to Kirby. Good fastball gets past Peraza, 1-2. It's not something that in 1995 or 2005 would be done, but in today's day and age, I don't even know that this moves the needle.
Yeah, it's the bullpen game.
Yeah.
I mean, it has changed, it's shifted. The thought processes are different.
Trying to maximize your ability to win a game. That's it. Jankowski gets there. And the inning comes to a close. So the Reds get 1 against Brad Hand. Padres lead by 2. getting ready to lead off. Let's revisit our keys to the game, brought to you by your San Diego Honda dealers.
Rock and roll marathon today, so Ross has a marathon start. Only 5 innings of work. He probably could have been extended, but thankfully he didn't, because the grand slam of Hunter Renfroe benefited him. He's in line for the win. And get Hand to the finish line. Brad Hand enters the game in the 8th inning. Possibly not the finish line, but we'll see how the 9th plays out.
The Reds closer, speaking of unconventional bullpen usage, Raisel Iglesias will come on here in the bottom of the 8th inning with his team down a pair, recently off the DL, so he's just sort of getting back into his groove. And leading off, a little bunt attempt by Corey Spangenberg, but a foul ball, 0-1. Iglesias, a hard throwing right-hander. Corey is 0 for 3. Came on after the Villanueva injury in the 1st inning. So he's gone pretty much the entire day at third base and in the cleanup position. Local guy, Brandon Dixon, comes in as part of a double switch. Iglesias now in Duvall's spot as Spangenberg sends a charge into one. Did he get the run right back? He did. Corey Spangenberg takes it out of here. His 4th of the year. And that lead is right back to 3.
You don't even know how big that run is. You can answer back. Corey Spangenberg. Fastball's giving him problems, but this is over the heart of the plate, and he hammers it. That's a big run for the Padres.
Second homer of the afternoon for San Diego. What shadows? Hunter Renfroe's grand slam, the big hit in this game back in the 5th inning. And now fellow first-round pick Corey Spangenberg goes out in the 8th. That's a good day for Matt Stair's crew, really is. Franmil Reyes, couple of hits and a run scored. And he's behind, no balls, 2 strikes. More and more impressed by this guy every game. His 16th major league game here this afternoon. Strikes out looking, 97 from Iglesias, 1 away. Iglesias, the 5th different pitcher used by Jim Riggleman in this game. He's had relatively limited bullpen usage in the first 2 games of this series, thanks to some of these multi-inning outings. Lorenzen went 4 on Friday night. There was even some speculation they're stretching him back out to try and start again. Freddie Galvis swings through a fastball, 0-1. And of course, they've had some action. You know, Homer Bailey was going to be moved from the rotation into the bullpen, and now he's on the DL. And how about what he said before the game?
Unreal.
On Friday night. Homer Bailey was approached by a reporter in the Cincinnati clubhouse here and said, do you think you'll be able to have some success in a relief role? You've always been a starter. And he said, probably not.
What a gamer.
It's not something you often hear stated publicly. No, I don't think I'll be able to have success in this role that the team has put me in.
The frustrating thing is obviously he's gone through some injury issues. He's struggled as a starter. Has a big contract, and you'd like to have a different response.
Galvis kind of slaps that one the other way to stay alive on 0-2.
Well, for Iglesias, you could see the prized arm, a lot of movement, good secondary stuff. This also could be an arm where a lot of teams that are in the hunt go out and try to acquire.
Rolls over. And look at Jeanette. Tom Amansky would be proud. Down to a knee to make the play. 2 away. the top of the inning, got the Reds to within 2, but Spangenberg, another slightly built left-handed hitting infielder, got one of his own. And so now 6-3 with 2 outs. Margot's walked each of his last 2 times, as you saw intentionally last trip. Had the great 9-pitch walk back in the 5th inning. 2 batters later, the grand slam by Renfroe.
I thought that inning was set up perfectly. Franmil Reyes with that single, also Freddie Galvis dropping down that nice bunt. And then, as you talked about, the walk from Manny Margot.
Swings through 98, 2 balls and a strike. Brad Hand worked the 8th, and now Kirby Yates, who's got 2 big league saves to his name, warming up to protect the 3-run lead in the 9th. Brad Hand still in the dugout. Dixon, Hamilton, and Winker are due to hit in the 9th. And how about 3 straight walks for Manuel Margot? You know, for a guy who's just starting to swing the bat a little bit better, that's great.
It sure is. You know, I think people don't realize he's only come in today with 10 walks on the season. And to get 3 and be able to see all of those pitches, be able to slow the game down, but also maintain your approach. It's a good day for Manny Margot.
See if he tries to run. Does have 6 stolen bases this year. Rafi Lopez lines it to short, and Peraza makes the play to end the inning. Padres, though, as mentioned, got that run right back. Corey Spangenberg had hit 3 home runs. He's now got 4. A solo shot in the bottom of the 8th to put the Padres ahead by 3 going to the 9th. On what it might be. How about Hunter Renfroe pinch hitting with the Padres down 2-0 in the bottom of the 5th inning. The bases were loaded and then they were empty. A pinch hit grand slam to turn a 2-0 deficit into a 4-2 advantage. That is the play of the game without a doubt.
So great to see power in Hunter Renfroe, making adjustments against right-handers and getting that mistake. And the Mississippi State Bulldog takes it out of the yard for one of the biggest moments. Has to feel good for him as we see Kirby Yates comes in for the 9th inning. Kirby's been flat out outstanding here at Petco Park. His career 1-1 with 41 career appearances, 1.14 ERA, and limiting hitters to a 159 batting average, making his 23rd appearance.
The pinch hitter against him to start things off will be Scott Schebler, the left-handed hitter. We believe they had double switched Brandon Dixon into the pitcher spot here, but perhaps they want the left-handed bat against Kirby Yates. First pitch to Schebler is swung on and missed. Yates has a pair of saves in his major league career. One with the Padres a season ago and one in his major league debut season with Tampa Bay back in 2014. Schebler hit a home run in the 9th inning last night. He went 2 for 3 and has homered in 2 of their last 3 games. A dangerous hitter, but he can't hit a 3-run homer here, not with the bases empty. So Schebler, a left-handed batter to face Yates, then Hamilton, the switch hitter, and the left-handed hitting Jesse Winker, the 3 scheduled hitters for Jim Riggleman's Reds here in the top of the 9th. And as you see, the big shift over on the right side of the infield. Late swing, and that Kirby Yates splitter continuing to cause trouble for hitters of all shapes and sizes.
Yeah, I'm sure that Schebler's seen his last fastball in this at bat. Split finger. You could see the movement exposing Schebler to a rough swing.
Tumbles right on in, and on 1 and 2. The count now even. Kirby has been so good here at Petco Park. Now 41 career appearances, a 1.14 ERA, and opponents hitting only 159 against him. That overall ERA this year, 135, 8th lowest among all National League relievers. 2 balls and 2 strikes to Schebler. And we'll do it again. Some very stubborn at bats by both teams here in this afternoon. Padres hoping that they'll be celebrating a 6-3 win in just a few minutes. They'll have the night to themselves before the Braves come in for the first game of that series tomorrow. Reds have the long flight home to Cincinnati, a day off tomorrow before opening up a 6-game homestand. Reaching down, Margot on the run. He's not going to get there. And Schebler with a leadoff hit against Kirby Yates here in the 9th.
Now 2-strike hitting. You see the split finger grip. And this is a nice located pitch for Kirby Yates, but a better swing by Schebler. Dumping this into left center gap for a leadoff single.
Might be a tough time for a pickoff throw. You just saw Hosmer having to shield his eyes over at first base. Sun aimed right at him with Billy Hamilton at the plate. Switch hitter swings and misses at a fastball, 0-1. Singled in the 7th inning last night, his only hit of the series. Padres obviously have to respect his speed here and his ability to bunt. Good fastball, 0-2. Hamilton struck out in his last at bat. That was against Craig Stammen. Punched him out. Craig worked a 1-2-3 7th. It was Hand in the 8th, and now Yates in the 9th. Ball 1.
No, priority here is just to get it out. Billy Hamilton puts it on the ground. You know a double play is going to be very difficult unless it's hit hard. I think Kirby wanted that pitch.
It was close.
Well, this pitch has been called this afternoon. But most times it's been against right-handed hitters. It's a different perspective for Scott Barry.
You do love the human element.
I do.
On 2-2, another foul ball, and to your point about double plays, he hasn't grounded into one yet this year. You said it's got to be smashed right at somebody. Preferably the shortstop who's coming over to cover second on a stolen base attempt. You step on the bag and throw to first. I don't know that Schebler will be going, though. Down 3 in the 9th. Hosmer gets 1. Throw to second. They got 2. A double play. You just take care of the fast guy first. That's all you got to do.
What a play by Eric Hosmer. Good pitch by Kirby Yates. He takes the easy out and then the accurate throw to Freddie Galvis. You got to love how he throws the baseball. Off balance and throwing a dart. Kirby Yates loves it, and so does Eric Hosmer. That's a big double play.
I tell you what, it's fun watching him play first base. Galvis has been a treat as well at shortstop here in 2018. Padres 1 out away. Jesse Winker is 1 for 4. Padres took 3 out of 4 from Miami on this homestand. Now trying to take 2 out of 3 from the Reds. One ball and 1 strike for the Cincinnati right fielder. And now the Reds are down to their final strike.
Oh, was that a defensive swing?
One and 2, and just a little bit low. Like Rafi Lopez had set a high target. Ended up having to drop down to his knees to receive that one. 2 balls, 2 strikes. Winker waits on Yates. Now the 2-2, inside ball 3. Barnhart would be next. Payoff pitch is hit well to deep right field towards the porch and off the wall. Reyes plays it well, and Winker is going to be held to a very long single. Down 3 runs with 2 outs in the 9th inning. You can't be thrown out trying to stretch that into a double. So he's aboard with 2 down.
Now the fastball elevated that Winker gets on top of that baseball. He looks up. He thought he hit this out. Watch Reyes play it off the right field wall perfectly and limits him to a long single.
Me and Freddie Benavides going over the situation. Nice play by the young right fielder. Barnhart, switch hitter. 0 for 3 with a walk and a strikeout.
Well, that's the guy you don't want to match up with. So this is an important out for Kirby Yates.
With runners on base this year, opponents are 2 for 28 against Kirby Yates. That is an .071 batting average. That is the situation here with 2 outs in the top of the 9th inning. Padres trying to clinch the series. Barnhart lines into center field. That's another base hit, and Joey Votto will bat, and he will be the potential tying run here in the ninth.
Well, not a familiar territory for Kirby Yates. So coming into this situation, this is the last scenario that you wanted. Joey Votto, 6 home runs on the year, 0 for 1 against Kirby Yates. These type of players thrive in these situations.
Votto tripled in his first at bat. Lined an opposite field single to left in the third. Looped one to the opposite field in the fifth before striking out in the eighth against Brad Hand. He represents the potential tying run with 2 outs in the ninth inning. One of the most professional hitters of his generation. Been talking to himself all weekend.
Now you see the slider ties him up in knots, looking for something else, and just tried to react.
Check swing roller past Yates. Pirela, tough play. Got it. And the ball game is over. Reds brought the tying run to the plate in the ninth inning, but Joey Votto grounds out, and Kirby Yates picks up his first save of 2018. Padres take 2 out of 3 from Cincinnati. A 6-3 victory here on a Sunday afternoon. Padres Live, the postgame show coming up next with Mike Pomerantz. What do you got?
Well, we're going to get you set for the upcoming Atlanta Braves series, and we'll also back over the Grand Slam from Hunter Renfroe and Andy Green. We'll talk all about that and more coming up in moments on the postgame show.